Coming up next, I'll tell you how to keep your childhood from sabotaging your career, and we'll talk about the importance of a hobby. We'll take your calls and your chats, and it starts right now. I am coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville, and you are joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do that, and how you can get there. It's about your work, because your work is a huge part of your life. We don't believe that you work to live, to pay the bills. We believe here that you live to work. You were created to contribute. You've got something to offer that somebody needs. And so we want to help you get clear on what that is so that you can show up and do it. And living this way will lead to the end of your journey being filled with reminiscing, not regretting. So if that's appealing to you, you're in the right place. 844-747-2577 is the phone number. 844-747-2577. Right there on the screen. Some of you need to call in today. It's Friday. How'd you do this week? What do you need to be thinking about and doing over the weekend? We're going to talk about some of those things in today's program. We'll also get to your chats. Go ahead and send those chat questions in now so that we can get to those here on the old laptop. So I saw a very important article, and I think it's as important for me as it is for you. In fact, it stepped on my toes big time in a very, very good way. Forbes put out an article recently by a guy named Rob Asgar, and I think this is really, really good. And he basically opens up the article by saying, the personal ghosts, basically from the pain and trauma of our childhood, some less severe, others very, very severe. But we all have some ghosts, some scabs, some scars, some pain from our childhood or adolescence, or even our current lives. And he basically goes on to say that this can haunt us in the workplace, and he's absolutely right. That what happens is when we have some pain and some trauma, that we essentially, as Freud proved, the idea of transference, Freud realized, the great psychologist, that many of his patients would fall in love with him because they were essentially transferring other roles of people in their life that they love dearly onto him. And so the idea of that has the negative side, of course, as well in the workplace. And so you're bringing in pain, unresolved pain is the key here. And you're bringing it into the workplace, and you are essentially transferring feelings towards people you work with. Joanne Weidman is cited in this article. She is a marriage and family therapist in Pasadena. I'm going to read what she said because this is so important. She said, someone with a trauma history who has not done the work to develop insight and healing from that can easily be triggered in work situations, but be inclined to blame others for the incident. This can be a part of why people get a reputation for being hard to work with. This can obviously prevent promotion. Ding, ding, ding. That's why I'm bringing this up. Some of you may not have gotten promoted, or you don't have much of a chance of being promoted because you've got some unresolved pain from your personal life, and it is going to follow you into the workplace. And you may not even be aware of the source, or maybe you are aware of the source, but you don't find yourself being aware of how that makes you act with your leader and your coworkers. Weidman goes on to say, if you're playing out your dad stuff on your boss, but your boss is playing out his ex-wife stuff with you, and neither one of you have insight into this gets complicated. Hello, yikes, right? How many of you, listen, wherever you're watching the show right now, you're listening, how many of you, this is stepping on your toes? It's really important. So what do we need to do? Got to get some level of counseling and insight into this stuff. It doesn't require, a total overhaul of your life, but it takes some courage to say, you know what? I think this is happening to me. And I've got some unresolved pain that I am transferring in a negative way in the workplace. Here's the reality. No matter how successful you are, how much money you make, how many results you produce, if you're not healthy personally, you are going to bring that to work and it is going to affect you. It eventually will catch up with you. You may have moved up the ladder pretty quickly, but at some point, unresolved pain is going to create difficulty for you in the workplace. And I want to make sure that you're aware of this and that you have the courage to deal with it. There's no shame in getting healthy. Embrace it. And I think what you will do is not just become healthy, but you will increase your progress. The height of how high you can go and the speed by which you get there. Get healthy. 844-747-2577 is the number. 844-747-2577. Let's go to Provo, Utah, where we start out with Tyler. Tyler, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. It's good to talk with you.
Good to talk to you. How can I help today?
So my question is, I'm trying to figure out what to do about school and how to get in proximity.
Okay, be more specific. What are you trying to figure out as it relates to school?
So with school, I've been taking classes online in graphic design and animation.
Okay.
The problem I've been running into is I haven't been receiving a lot of feedback or anything about how I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard to stay motivated, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
You could say.
Is this a four-year school, or is this just an online program that's not associated with a university?
It's a community college, or state college.
Okay, and your professor is not giving you any feedback?
Not really. It's kind of hard online trying to get feedback back and forth.
Yeah, I get it. But I mean, let's be honest. If you were going to give some of your work, whether it be the graphic design or the animation or both, and you were wanting to get feedback from me and my team, let's just say Mark, my graphic designer, said, Ken, I'll do Tyler a favor. I'll look at his stuff. How would you get the stuff to Mark?
Um,
Don't overthink this. This is not a difficult answer. Tyler, how would you send us that animation or the graphic design so that Mark could look at it and give you feedback? How would you send it to him here in Nashville? How'd you get it? How would you get it to him?
I'd send it online.
A what?
Send it online.
Right. So you're acting like that the digital review is really, really difficult. And I just wonder if you've asked your professor, hey, listen, I know we're online and we're not together, but I'd really, really like your critique. Tell me what's really bad. Tell me what's okay. Tell me what's really good. How can I get better? Have you asked that question that way?
Not exactly.
Okay, so let's start with that, shall we, Tyler? And then the second thing I want you to do is actually use the proximity principle. That's what you said. You said, Ken, how do I use it? So the proximity principle is, Tyler, in order to do what Tyler wants to do, graphic design, animation, he's got to get around people that do graphic design and animation, right? The people who are doing it and in places where it is happening. So what would be the places? Well, some online communities. Places like that might be animators that gather online. They've got more experience than you. Is there a YouTube channel? Where are those people hanging out where you can get around them and you may not talk to them, but you can watch them. You can watch what they're doing. That's the idea here. That's how you learn and grow. And then there are people in Provo, Utah that do graphic design and do animation. Now, I don't know what Utah's COVID response is and how quickly they're starting to de-thaw, if you will, or to thaw out, to defrost. But you can send your stuff to people. You know people who do that kind of work in Provo, Utah. Yes or no?
Well, through my professors, yeah. I could.
Not just your professors. I'm saying you're telling me you don't know anybody on an acquaintance or a close personal friend level who doesn't know somebody that is in some type of graphic design in Provo, Utah? I just don't believe that. You just haven't looked hard enough, because I know you haven't looked hard enough because you haven't even asked your professor to give you some really strong feedback. Open the door for criticism. Trust me, the professor will step up. So Tyler, I'm saying all this to say you haven't asked for feedback, and you're allowing your fear of asking for feedback, or you're allowing your doubt that maybe you don't have what it takes to keep you from getting feedback. Isn't that really what's happening?
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's exactly what's happening, Tyler. And I'm not getting on you. I just want to expose what's really going on. And let me just also encourage you, Tyler. Asking for someone to critique your work is not easy, even for me. It's not easy. It's necessary, but it's not easy. Why? The sting of criticism, whether positive or negative, is obviously not fun. But it's not about fun, Tyler. You desperately need an injection of confidence. And the only way you're going to get it is getting some feedback. So, Tyler, please do what I told you to do, and do it right away, and do it often, and do it consistently. You're going to win. 844-747-2577. Submit your chat questions now. We'll get to those in just a few moments after we talk with Wayne. Wayne is on the line in Port Richey, Florida. Wayne, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hello?
Hello, Wayne. You're on the Ken Coleman Show.
How you doing, Ken?
I am living the dream, sir. What's going on with you?
I actually have two questions.
All right. Number one.
I was laid off March 23rd because of the virus.
Yep.
I filed for unemployment. I moved to Florida last June.
Okay.
All right. They said I was ineligible because they went back. The first time I filed all the way back to like October of 2018.
Yeah.
All right. I had to file again. I hadn't received any money. I've been out of work for a month and a half. Hadn't received any letters in the mail. They just saying I'm pending. Now, if I do go back to work, would the state of Florida still owe me for the whole time I've been off work?
That's a good question. My answer is I'm not exactly sure because I'm not familiar with Florida state unemployment law. You could probably research that, but the issue is, does it really matter that much? You know, we're talking about a month and a half, right? Or are you saying you're trying to collect since the time you've been in Florida?
I'm just wanting to collect the time I've been off.
Yeah, a month and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I knew the answer, and I don't want to say anything that's irresponsible, Wayne, because I'm not familiar with Florida's laws on that. My guess is that if you go to work tomorrow and then they kind of send you your claim, I don't think they're going to pay you for that time, because if they've not actually filed your unemployment case, and I know there's a big backlog, I've read this in the news, so assuming that media report is correct, my guess would be that you wouldn't get the money. And I just don't think it matters that much. So because here's the deal, Wayne, you want to work, man. And so we're not going to worry about back unemployment payments. I know it's unfortunate, but I just wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on that. If the answer's no, I wouldn't even spend more than 2 seconds. So what's your second question?
Okay. My second question is, the guy that laid me off got a small business stimulus loan from the government.
Yep.
To keep me working. He actually called me about 3 weeks ago and said he was going to cut me a check.
Okay.
All right. He's not cut me a check. He's not called me back to work. He avoids my phone calls. Does he owe me any money if he got the loan from the government to keep me working?
By the letter of the law, as I understand it, in order to receive the PPP loan, you have to use the money to bring people back to work, if in fact they laid you off due to COVID. Now, I'll bet there's a loophole in that. If he says, well, I didn't lay him off because of COVID, I laid him off for something else. I don't know, but I certainly would look into that. What's the check he was going to cut you? Your 3 weeks of being laid off? I mean, I want to know more what that agreement was.
He just called me up and said he was going to cut me a 40-hour check. Because he asked me, was I doing all right if I got my unemployment? And I told him no. And the time to come for that check, for him to cut me that check, I asked him, I had called him. I called him like 2 weeks straight, and he would just ignore my calls.
Yeah, you know what I do? What kind of business is it?
It's an electrical company out of Oldsmar, Florida.
Yeah, you know, I'd show up. I think I'd walk in there, when he's in the office. I think I'd show up, but I would not have a bad attitude. I would not have a confrontational posture. I'd show up and go, hey, man, listen, I'm just following up because times are tough. And I haven't been able to get a call back from you, and I don't want to bug you, but you said you were going to cut me a check. You got the PPP loan. Is that going to happen? Be as humble as you can. Because you going in with a bad attitude and a confrontational spirit, that's not going to help.
Nah, I understand that.
I'd go in with the weight of a dove. That's what I would do. And I think that's your best chance. I would confront him, but I would confront him like a dove, and I would see if he just starts to feel bad and cut you the check. But I think it's time for you to move on, man.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the way he's handled it. And
I don't either. I don't want to work for somebody like that.
No, sir. No, sir. You are way too valuable.
All right now.
Yes, sir. Listen, Wayne, let me tell you something. A guy like you who's got skills in the trades, I think there's plenty of work for you right now, even if you got to get out and drive delivery food or deliver pizza or do work in some warehousing and shelving or whatever in grocery, or these pharmacies are hiring like crazy. These big box home improvement stores are hiring. Listen, man, just go get some work until this thing gets back to normal. I applaud your governor. I will tell you that. I think he's actually a leader with a real spine, and I think things are going to come back a little bit quicker for guys like you. So go get work and forget about this past stuff. Forget about it. It's going to happen. You're going to get jilted. You're going to have people disappoint you in times of calm, and even more so in times of crisis. You get a person like that who's trying to figure it out, and I don't know his story, so I don't want to project a bunch of stuff on him, and I'm not making excuses for this guy. But people who are uncertain and people who are squeezed, they do bad things sometimes. They're not acting in the healthy frame of mind. And so to the extent that you can, have some grace, try to get what's owed you. The best way you're going to do it, though, is with sugar. It's not going to be with salt. I can tell you that right now. So I apologize, Wayne, on behalf of that leader not following through. I hate that for you. But better days are ahead. 844-747-2577 is the number. Let's go to the chat room. Danelle writes in, hey, Ken, I had an interview last week. They are doing my background checks and checking references this week, but my references haven't been called yet. Is that a bad sign? Nah, I don't know enough to say that that's a bad sign. Could be, but you're in your head. And I get it because you're waiting on resolution. And boy, it's a wacky time for all of us, So you need to focus on what you can control. You cannot control if they call you back. You can't control if they're calling your references. Can't control any of that. I want you to keep going. In fact, I would not just sit around waiting for these folks to get back to you. I'd go look for other gigs. Get after it. Sherry writes in, hey, Ken, I was given a verbal offer around mid-March, and I countered. After making a counteroffer, I didn't hear back from the recruiter. After countless calls, I was told that the position was tabled. Thoughts? Yeah. You have to assume that they're telling you the truth, that they tabled it. We just got hit with the biggest economic suppression the world has ever seen. So, let's just break it down, Sherry. Either they're telling you the truth, that they basically pressed pause on this position due to COVID and all the uncertainty surrounding it, or they're lying to you. I mean, it's one or the other. Right, Joe? I mean, so here's the deal. What happens if they're telling you the truth and they've paused the position? You being obnoxious on the heels, by the way, of you countering and not hearing from the recruiter, that's potentially a bad sign. Not saying it is. They offered you something, you said, I want this much, and you didn't hear anything from the recruiter. Then COVID comes in, and I'm not sure because this is a chat what the timeline is. So you got that, plus the fact that they're telling you they tabled it. You have to assume that they did, in fact, table it, and you have to take them at face value because, again, you don't want to be obnoxious. You want to give yourself the chance that maybe that develops into an opportunity in the days ahead. If they're lying, you don't want to work for them anyway. So you just got to kind of say, I'm moving on to other things. If I hear back from them, bonus. That's how you respond to that. 844-747-2577. Lisa writes in, hey, Ken, I want to be a college advisor for underprivileged kids, but I can't afford to take the classes that I need. How do I find a way to do my passion without the education? Well, there's two answers to this. There is the idea of it being almost a pure passion play. It's not a professional play, so it could be a ministry for you if you look at it that way, or just, this is just me giving back. And I begin to find these underprivileged kids. By the way you write this, I think you kind of know where those folks are in your area, and you just start loving on them and go, hey, I'm going to come along. This is just something I'm passionate about, and I'm going to give my time and expertise to try to get you all prepared. And maybe you get some support from nonprofits in the area or parachurch or churches or whatever. Or you actually dive into this a little bit more and go, who are the organizations that are helping these kids get prepared for the next step in my area? Let's just do some good old-fashioned research and see who's doing it. And if you can find some people that are doing it, you go to them and go, listen, I want to help. This is a massive passion for me. I really want to help. How can I help? And you look for opportunities to help until you get to a position that you can afford the classes. Which leads me to really the third scenario. It's okay for you. It's not going to feel great at times, Lisa. I can speak to this. But it's okay for you to press pause and go, I know exactly what I want to do. I know why I want to do it, which you do, by the way. And you just go, look, I can't afford it now, but I can later. What do I need to do now to be able to step into the next? Well, that means go make some money, Lisa, and save a good portion of that money so that you can afford to take the classes necessary to get you qualified to do what you want to do. So, Lisa, maybe that's the best strategy. And I think it might be. I can't do it now. Ken, I want to do it now. I want to do it now. I get it. Joe Hankins sitting about 12 feet from me. He knows how bad I wanted to have a national radio show. But Joe, tell the nice people at home, do you get a national radio show if you're not an already existing celebrity with tons of connections? Or do you have to start out doing local radio? Joe, tell them.
You have to start out trying to do local radio.
Oh, good. You went a step further. I like that.
Yeah.
It's presumable, Joe, that even if I paid WDUN, which I did to get on, if I was really awful, they might go, hey, listen.
They would.
That spot, we got to give that to somebody else.
Yeah, sorry. They're going to pay more.
Yeah, so in this case, Lisa, I think it's about getting the income, saving the money out of that income, press pause, and then get to it. You got this. You're clear. That's stage one. You're clear. Stage two is getting qualified. Well, guess what? You can't get qualified until you get the money to be able to do it, but you can get there. And keep your eye on the prize while you're taking those classes, while you're working that third job or second job or whatever. You're driving an Uber late at night and you're going, what am I doing here? The answer is, I'm getting prepared. I'm getting prepared to help the people that I desperately want to help. Such a powerful shift. Oh, I can't believe I'm working the graveyard shift. Why am I here? Because you're getting prepared. You're getting prepared. You're doing what you have to so that you can do what you want to. 844-747-2577, 844-747-2577. So I want to teach on the importance of a hobby all the time, but really now in this wacky time that we live in, where uncertainty rules the day. Why is a hobby so important? Why do I want to teach on this for just a couple of minutes? Because I think many of us fail to see the value in the purposeful distraction. In other words, a hobby. Ken, I got 3 kids. I'm working 2 jobs. I can't afford a hobby. Well, let's look at hobby as a intentional distraction that allows you to step out of all of those roles for a small amount of time, consistently, and refresh your head and your heart. That's essentially what we're talking about. Your creativity, which all of us have and all of us need, gets revived when we put ourselves in a place where we're not bearing down all the time, but we're just having fun and enjoying something, whether it be cooking, or working on a car, building some furniture. I don't know what it is, but just a distraction. You know, we get this call all the time. Ken, is this hobby level passion or is it profession level? And we walk through that. And I will tell, I've told many people, listen, I don't think this thing over here is the professional play, but I think it's the personal hobby play, and it's both and. You can go over here and do something you love, and it helps fund not just your family and all of your needs, but it helps fund this hobby, which keeps you healthy, keeps you really healthy. I saw a quote recently that said, hobbies don't just take our mind off of our stressors, it'll help us meet our work and life challenges. So let's just spread this out a little bit. This isn't just about making you better in your work. How about better in your marriage, better in your parenting, when you've got some sort of release and distraction that is a healthy hobby? So it's everything from playing golf to playing poker to cards to bingo. I don't care what it is. I can keep going, you know, and again, working on a car, you know, a hobby that, you know what, I'm going to go work on cars for single moms. Not getting paid for it, but it's a nice distraction, and I see some tremendous value. So it's not always fun, but it is fun, right? It doesn't have to be this wee activity. Just be something that's really, really important to you, that gives you such a valuable distraction. So embrace the hobby. Embrace it. Because it's going to make you well-rounded. Emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically. Hey, you know what? Specific exercise as a hobby. It'll really refresh you, allow you to recreate yourself. You know, when you break down the word recreation, it really is to recreate yourself. And so the idea of taking your mind off of work and then focusing on something that you really enjoy refreshes your brain. I'm looking through the glass right now, and Michael Reddish, a longtime friend who's a coworker, teammate, is standing out there, and the guy really understands this. Recreation, recreating, does a lot of this for our company. Creates all these events here, you know, and it really takes the mind off of the grind and the work, and he really models that, so that's really fun. I love that. 844-747-2577 is the number. Back to the phones we go. Pam is on the line in Glendale, Arizona. Pam, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Good morning.
Hi, Pam. How can I help?
So I want to know how to assert myself within my job, because I love my job, in order to advance, because I've been here almost 5 years and I haven't been able to advance in my position.
Okay, I love this question, and there's really three things you need to do to advance, okay? But before I break that down, I'm just curious, what's your self-assessment as to why you've been there for 5 years and you haven't been promoted? Why is that?
I feel like I don't assert myself enough.
What does that mean?
To get noticed. Because I work in a company that has like 5,000 employees. So I work in healthcare.
Okay.
I'm not a nurse, though, so it's just administrative.
Okay.
And if you're not striving to do something great, invent something, so to speak, like new processes, you're not going to get noticed. Okay.
That may be true, but I think you're making that very extreme. I'm not sure that that's the only way to get noticed. In fact, I know it's not. But I want to break down your thinking. You're like, Ken, I work for a company of 5,000 people. I can't get noticed. Wait a second. How many are on your direct team? How many people?
About 30.
Oh, no, wait a second. See, that's what your mind needs to be focused on. You're telling me you can't stand out among 30 people?
No, because 60% of them are nurses.
Oh, wait a second.
So
No.
obviously, I can't stand out among them.
Oh, Pam, yes, you can. Tell me what your key responsibilities are in the day right now. Give me a quick list.
So we work cases for prior authorization, but I do all of the complicated ones. Anything that needs fixing or repairing or something that was done wrong, I have to do it right.
Is that like paperwork? When you say fix a case, what does that mean?
So it's just computer work.
Yeah.
It's a prior authorization case for healthcare. So I just need to make sure that it was done correctly, and if it was approved correctly.
Okay, great.
Or
Are you getting
denied?
Are you
wrongly.
getting? Got it. Are you getting good marks for your performance?
Yes.
Okay, great. What does the ladder look like for somebody like you? If you're not a nurse, what are other, let's just call them administrative support jobs that would be higher up the ladder for you? What would those be?
Well, the next step is senior, and then the next step would be supervisor. I can be a supervisor for non-clinical staff.
Okay, and so you want to know how to stand out.
Yes.
Okay. Would you, by the way, before I go into this, would you want to move to the senior level and then up to the supervisor level?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do you work with somebody right now do you work closely with the people that are in those roles?
I do, but they never seem to have time to meet with me on this issue.
Have you asked them to meet with you on how you can grow?
I have, on a weekly basis.
Oh no! What do they say? Give me the typical response.
I get no response. That's the problem.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I think we got the problem here, but I want to make sure that I heard you correctly. Are you sending them emails on this, or are you looking at them eyeball to eyeball saying, hey, I want to know how I can grow in my role and move up the ladder? Is that happening face to face, or is it an email that they're ignoring?
No, it's an email.
And they're literally not
I
responding.
Work from home.
Oh, you work from home too.
Yes.
And they don't even respond.
No.
That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You are not in a culture where they are actively trying to develop people and then promote people. So Ramsey Solutions is a great example. We are known for, when you get in a position, you come in here and we develop you. We want you to win there, and we keep developing you. And if you accept the developing and then you rise above it, then you move up the ladder. That's not happening for you, and it doesn't seem like that's happening a lot in that culture as well. Is that true, or is there a disconnect on that as well?
No, that's true.
Okay, then. So I'm not telling you to leave right now, because I don't like anybody jumping, but you need to start looking to an organization where you're going to get noticed. It is unconscionable to me. Now, I'm going to still give you how you get noticed and how you really step up, but it is unconscionable to me that they're not replying to your emails.
Yeah.
How many emails have you sent on this topic?
I've sent at least 5 in the last month. Oh
my gosh.
Because we've had a little downtime.
Yeah, but the fact that they're not even willing to have a meeting with you and give you the polite, we don't have a spot for you to move up to, really concerns me. So I would push, not hard, but I would push to get a face-to-face to say, hey, I've done a good job here. I'm getting marks here. I'd love to move into the senior role or the supervisor role when those come open. And then the other thing is while you're looking outward, because you need to look for something else where you can grow. If one of those positions open, have you ever put your hat in the ring for that, actually applied for it?
Yes.
And what happened?
They're telling me I don't meet qualifications because I've tried other positions.
Is that true?
I can move up.
Is that true?
I don't think so.
Well, you want to know so.
Yeah.
So if you can say, you know what, Ken, I know that I had the qualifications. They're just saying that something's going on, and you need to get out of there when you can, when you have something to step into. Okay, let me give you real quick. Here's the 3 things that you do to always advance. Okay.
Okay.
You got to know your role. That's really clear on what's expected of you, and I think that's the case for you. You know exactly what a win is, and you're winning based on your performance reviews. The second thing is you got to accept your role. That's an attitude issue. I feel like you've done that in 5 years. You've not been impatient. You haven't stepped on toes. Is that correct? You just said, I know my role and I accept it, correct?
Correct.
Then you maximize your role. And this is where you've got to go above and beyond. You're looking for opportunities to help other coworkers. You're going above and beyond, taking what looks like a win and taking it way beyond a win, going, wow. We go from wins to wows. That's what you got to do. Okay? Now, those are 3 things you got to do. I'm going to give you 4 characteristics that you need to develop. If you don't have these characteristics, you can build these. The first is likable. You got to be likable. That's just good old-fashioned. People smile when Pam walks around because Pam makes me feel good when I'm around Pam. I enjoy being around Pam. Pam is a light. Okay?
Yes.
All right?
Okay.
Okay, good. Now, the second quality is not only are you likable, you want to be coachable. Here's how I define coachable. Coachable is a person who receives correction when you do something wrong and the leader's got to talk to you about something or whatever it is, whether it be technical or personal. When you receive correction, you receive it really, really well. Phenomenal attitude. Not defensive, but you soak it up like a sponge. You receive it well. You receive correction, and then you receive instruction well. So there's a difference. Instruction is, hey, we've got to learn a new thing, or some new training, and you've got a great attitude about it, and you dive in, and you're an A student. All right, so the third quality is we want to be reliable. So we're likable. We're coachable. The third is we're reliable. We can count on Pam in every aspect. She's on time. She's early. She delivers the deadlines. She says she's going to help. She helps. You understand what reliable means. And then the final characteristic is be honorable. This is integrity. You're an honorable person. And I think you are. But those are the things that if you're in a healthy culture, knowing your role, clarity, accepting your role, attitude, maximizing your role, effort, be likable, be coachable, be reliable, be honorable. Those are things you do, and those are things you become. That right there, guaranteed recipe to be promoted with the giant asterisk in a healthy culture. And if you're doing those things, Pam, which I think you are, and you're not getting promoted, it is a sign that you are not in a healthy culture. You are not valued the way you should be valued, and you need to find some other place to go. All right, folks, real quick, I want to make sure you know we had a massive response yesterday to our Get Hired live stream event entitled Get Hired. It's coming next Thursday, May 21st, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. It's only $10, but we got some ticket tiers, and people are going crazy. We got some really cool ticket tiers, a $25 tier, a $100 tier. If you want some coaching from our HR team to really get you ready so that you can stand out. Super excited. The response was unbelievable. Good news, we can't sell out because it's an online live stream event right here from the atrium at Ramsey Solutions. So again, go to kencoleman.com/events, kencoleman.com/events. Get your ticket for you or for your friends or for your family. They need to get hired. This event, the proven plan to help you get the job you want. May 21st, live, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, kencoleman.com/events. Tickets, just general admission tickets, only $10. We're trying to lower the bar here, folks. That's your COVID special right there. Go now, kencoleman.com/events. Well, my time's almost up, but before I go, you matter. You do have what it takes. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.